So last week we went over Perek tests. We learned Perek tests in the light of the criteria of a king. And what we said is that at the end of Perek Ches, we see that Shmuel tells Bnei Israel, go home, you asked for a king, I heard you, I tried to dissuade you, you don't want to. You're still insisting that you want a king, fine. So I will give you a king. Go home. I will take care of stuff. It's like when your daughter asks you to order her that thing that she really needs. Tell her, go to sleep. I'll order it. So he doesn't. Just go home. Leave me alone. When I have news, I'll let you know. So in Perek Tes, we are expecting to be introduced to the next new king. However, the introduction of the next new king is very strange. Last week, what we did is that before we started the going into Perek Tes, we went over the criteria of a king as they are described in Sefer Devarim, which was very interesting. And we said that in Sefer Devarim, there are requirements for a king. There were about 5 requirements, if I recall. Number 1, he needs to be one of the Bnei Israel. It should be someone among your brothers. Number 2, he should not have too much money. He should not have too many horses. He should not have too many wives, and he should follow the Torah, and he should be humble. He should not be feel superior to his subjects, to his brothers, because that's what he is. He should have a close relationship with them. And in our reading of Perek Tes, we decided to check how is that first introduction that we have to Shaul, which is completely out of context of a king. We don't see him as a king. We see him as a regular person. How did it fit? So we're going to go do a quick review of Perek Tes, and we're going to read it together with Perek Yud, because technically both Parakim, they go together. Last week, I don't know if you remember, but it's a long Perek. There's a lot of things happening. So we were trying to really fit it into the learning, but it's difficult because it's so loaded. You don't want to miss on anything. All right. So we start with saying, Pasuk Alef, Vayehi ish mi Binyamin, ushmo Kish ben Aviel, ben Tzror, ben Bechorat, ben Afiach, ben Ish Yemini, Gibor Chayil. So that is the ascendants of the genealogy, Perek Tes Pasuk Alef, the genealogy of Shaul. So here right away we see, we don't have his name yet. His name only comes in Pasuk Beis, Velo haya benu shmo Shaul, and he had a son and his name was Shaul. We only see the ascendants. I would like to mention, because we are a week before Purim, Ushemo Kish. His name is Kish. Who is that person? We see that person a second time, and we see him in the Megillah. There's one of the 4 psukim that we read out loud in the Megillah, and we read the pasuk of Mordechai, and we say, Ish Yehudi aya b'Shushan Abira, and we call him Yehudi. Ish Yehudi aya b'Shushan Abira. Yehudi comes from the word Yehuda, so we would think he's from Shevet Yehuda, but no. Ish Yehudi aya b'Shushan Abira, ushemo Mordechai ben Shimi ben Kish. Ben Shimi, we'll see Shimi later on in Sefer Shmuel. Ben Kish, here is Kish. Ish Yemini, a man from Binyamin. And we see Ish Yemini, we don't say a man from Binyamin, we say Ish Yemini. And here, when we describe the Shevet of Shaul, you see that there's a Kriyan Ktiv, there's Mibin Yamin, in 2 separate words that should be read as Mibin Yamin, but it's Mibin Yamin. And Mordechai is described as Ish Yemini, as if the power is into the Yamin of Binyamin. And if we remember how Binyamin was named, Binyamin originally was not supposed to be Binyamin. Rachel wanted to name him something else. She wanted to name him Ben Oni, the son of my suffering. And Yaakov said, no, he's the son of the right, the son of the good. And here we see we have 2 people that come from Binyamin, that they are good, magnificent people. So Shaul is being described, so that is our connection to Purim. So to follow up on that connection, we'll see that Shaul, who is from Shevet Binyamin, he will fail into attacking Amalek. However, Mordechai, who is also a descendant of Kish, so the Shaul and Mordechai are related. They're not just from the same Shevet, they are closely, several generations later, but they have the same ancestors. Mordechai is the one who is going to stop the power of Haman, who is a descendant of Amalek. So Mordechai is going to finish the work of Shaul by defeating Haman. So here we have the description of Shaul. And in the first pasuk, when we see the description of Shaul, we are thinking to ourselves, okay, so we're describing someone great, Shaul, Bachur. He is, so it means young, but it can also mean chosen. He's one of the best people. Vatov, and he's good. Like to describe someone Tov is exceptional. Another person that was described as Tov was Moshe when he was born. And if we're in doubt, was he Tov or was he Metsuyan? Or like how good was he? En ish mi bnei Israel Tov mimeno. There is no one in Am Yisrael who is better than him. So imagine how great he was. Mishechmo v'mala, from his shoulder up, gavua mikol ha'am, he's taller than the nation. He's taller in stature, physically, but also spiritually. And it's an expression in Hebrew today to say about someone, no, he's shechmo v'mala. He's a shoulder taller than everybody. That's an expression to say he's really the category above. So that's something they still use. So we are expecting, when we discover Perek Tet and we don't know the story, we're introduced to that new person who is of outstanding stature. We're expecting to see how will become the next king. However, right away, we fall really low into the occupations of that person. We would think that this person is busy doing miracles, busy having a relationship with Hashem. No. Right away, he takes care of the most mundane affairs that could happen. What is it? His father lost his donkeys. It's not that his father lost his donkeys, it's that the donkeys were lost to him, as if it happened like completely, like no one knows really what happened. It happened completely unexpectedly. Avi Shaul, so Kish is the father of Shaul. Vayomer Kish el Shaul beno, and Kish says to his son, what does he need to involve his son? The donkeys were lost. Like, leave him alone. You have such a tzaddik of a son. My son, when he's learning, he's doing his homework, I don't bother him. Here you have a tzaddik. You're going to bother him for your donkeys? He doesn't. Kach na itcha et echad me'anearim. Take with you one of the servants. So here the question is even stronger. But you have servants. Why do you need to take your son? Vekum, and rise, lech bakeshet atonot, go and search for the donkeys. So here, his father tells him, you know what, you put aside everything that you're busy doing, you just go and look for my donkeys, which is something like really random to do. It's as if, let's say you have something really important scheduled and you lost your slippers, and you instead of going to do something important, you're just saying, no, I have to stop everything. I'm going to cancel my job. I'm going to cancel everything. I'm just going to look for my slippers. That's really important. Come on. And you have staff that is able to do it for you. Why would his father tell him, go with the servant and look for them? The servant could go by himself. And here we have a word that is being said without noticing that actually has a meaning. His father tells him, Vekum, and rise. Kum lech, rise and go. As if he was sitting and he has to tell him, stand up. But actually what he tells him is that in your going to look for the donkeys, you will rise. But his father has no idea. There are a lot of things in the story that are woven into the story that as we go through the story the first time, we have no idea it's happening. And that's exactly the process that actually Shaul is going through. As he's going through the steps of his life, he has no idea what he's going for. He's going to look for the donkeys that his father asked him for. He has no idea that he's going to find kingship at the end of the road. And it's only by looking back that he will assess the situation and say, hey, 1 second, when this happened, when that happened. All right. So we read afterwards that they looked in a few places, they searched in a lot of places, and they didn't find. And we see many, many times the word lo matzau. And they arrived to Eretz Tzuf. And Tzuf, we saw it at the beginning of the Sefer, and we said So we explained that the reason why they walked over so many places was a way of acquiring the land. And then Shaul saw that they went through so many places and they didn't find the donkey. So he said, you know what, let's go home and tell my father that we couldn't find them, because at this point we've been gone for so long. My father's probably worried more about us than about the donkeys. And the servant doesn't accept this opinion, and he says, no, you know what? We are here in Eretz Tzuf. Tzuf, if you remember, it's similar to another place that is called Aramatayim Tzofim, which was the place where Elkanah lived in Perek Alef. Sorry, we see that name. So he tells him, in this place, there's a man of God. And here, we don't say the name so far. We don't say the name of who is that man of God. Say there's a man of God. He's really special. It's not just a charlatan or something. He's very respectable. Everything that he says comes true. Let's go see him and ask him for our donkeys. And we are thinking, 1 second, he's definitely referring to someone that we know, who is another Ish Elokim in the time of Shmuel. It must be Shmuel. Are really people bothering Shmuel to ask them where the donkeys? And here we're comforted in the idea that we say that Chassidim ask the Rebbe for everything that happens in their life, even for small things that happen in their life, they ask the Rebbe for advice. It's not new. We didn't make it up. It's not fanatic Chassidim that imagined this idea, this concept. It's here already in the time of Shmuel. People lost the donkey. They go to the Navi. All right. Well, we'll see other things that Chassidim do that they did already in the back then. And he says, so Pasuk Vav, he says, Atad nelcha sham, now let's go there. Ulai yagid lanu, maybe he will tell us, et darkenu asher alachnu alea, the path on which we have went. So here we have a problematic wording. Do we see it? He says, let's go to the Navi, he will tell us the path on which we have went.
How's it going to talk about something that already happened in the past?
Well, if you can speak about something that happened in the future, you can speak about something that happened in the past. That's not a problem in my eyes, right? But 1 second, do they not know where they went? They are the ones who went. They're the ones who traveled. The Pasuk describes to us all the places where they went, Eretz Shalisha, and Eretz Shalim, and then Eretz Yemini, and then Eretz Suf. They went to all the places. They went to 4 places altogether until they arrived to the place of Shmuel. Do they need Shmuel to tell them where they went? Where do they need Shmuel to tell them? Where they should go. Where they should go in the future to find the donkeys, not where they went. So here they're saying, the Nar is saying, Shmuel will tell us where's the root of the problem. Where have we gone wrong in our past that this story happened to us now? Why are we at this point in our life that we're stuck? If we want to look why we're stuck in our life now, we need to look in the past. And that's the Navi is able to tell us, what did we do wrong in the past that's going to help us now to move forward. So, Vayomer Shaul lenaro, and Shaul says to his servant, no, we can't go because we don't have anything to bring to the Navi. What's the problem? The Navi is here for your money. We'll see in Perek base, Shmuel makes the people swear, tell me if I ever took something from you. And the people say, you never did. So by here, we see Shaul says, I can't go to the Navi if I don't have anything to bring him. So clearly people brought him things. So the difference is that people brought Shmuel things, not for the sake of Shmuel. Shmuel didn't need people to give him anything. But when you go to a tzaddik, and we spoke about it last time, when you go to a tzaddik to bring him to ask him for a bracha, you need to create a relationship between the tzaddik and the Navi, between the tzaddik and the person. And how do you create that relationship? Is by giving him something. And we see this, the first time we see it is when Yitzchak tells his son Esav, I want to give you a bracha. So you bring me a meal so that I give you a bracha. Really, Rivka didn't know how to cook, that he had to ask his son, who was a hunter, that maybe didn't even do the shrita, to make him a meal. At the end, we see it, Rivka makes him the meal, right? So why did he need to ask Esav? Because if you want to receive a proper bracha from a tzaddik, you need to give him something first. You give, and then he gives you. That creates a relationship. It's like it says, there's a lot of commentaries that explain it. There's also a pasuk that says, Velo tir'u et panai rekam. Hashem says to Bnei Israel, you will not see my face empty-handed. As in, it's not proper to come to me empty-handed, and it's not proper to go to the tzaddik empty-handed. So that's where it's from. And the Nar has a miracle that happens, and he has all of a sudden a quart of silver shekel that comes into his pocket, and he convinces Shaul that now he can go. If we look back on that story, we see, if we look at on the deeper level of that story, Shaul has no idea. Obviously, Shaul is busy with his donkeys and stuff, but here the servant is offering Shaul to go to Shmuel. We know what will happen when Shmuel and Shaul meet. What will happen? Rivka, you were here last class. What will Shmuel announce to Shaul when he meets him? That he's going to become king. Now, Shaul has no idea, but we know, right? And in hindsight, Shaul is going to know too. But right now, he doesn't know. But on a deeper level, what happens is that spiritually, Shaul is being suggested, go to Shmuel, go to the kingship. Get closer to that goal of the kingship. And Shaul says, no, I'm not going. He has to be convinced into going to Shmuel. Shaul does not even want to approach Shmuel, that intermediary between him and the kingship. He doesn't want to get there. He has to be ushered in. And we'll see that even after he's being told that he will be king, that's exactly what will continue happening. He will not want to be king in front of everybody. So it's interesting to see in the development of how he even gets to Shmuel, we see already his identity as a king. So they go to a man called Haroe, and they explain, and there's a passage that explains that Roe, there's two different levels. There's the Roe and there's the Navi. The Navi is approximately the same as the Roe, but it used to be before. And we explained that the Roe is for a personal level, the Navi is for a national level. But it's not according to all opinions. There are a lot of different opinions. There's another opinion that says that the Roe is a lower level than the Navi. He has a lower level of vision. And Shaul gets convinced and he says, let's go. And we say, why does it say lecha nelcha 2 times? Is because when you go to a Navi, you have to prepare. You have to prepare in a lot of ways. You don't just go and show up in front of the Navi. The same way, it's very funny how it gets very, there's so many comparisons with how we treat the Rebbeim, because that's exactly what there is here. There's a tzaddik in town, and there is simple people who go see the tzaddik. And that's exactly what Chassidim and Rebbe, the relationship between the Chassid and Rebbe. So when people go to the Rebbe, they need to do a spiritual preparation. We take the shortcut today. We take a lot of shortcuts today, but it used to be very, very serious. There was a story in the Hasidic Derech, the kids Derech, the Derech for kids. They listen to it in the car in the morning. There was a story of a Chassid that wanted to go see the Mittel Rebbe. And he stopped by a Chassid to get training to how can I go and be prepared to see the Mittel Rebbe. And the Chassid kept him for 7 years. Told him, you're not ready, you can't go. For 7 years, he kept him in his house, telling him you have to prepare to go to the Rebbe. So, lecha nelcha, there's steps into preparing. Another connection with Megillas Esther, because its Purim is next week, is that we see when there is the story of the woman that prepared to go to Achashverosh in the Megillah, they have to prepare for 6 months. They would soak into perfumed oils, and for 6 months they would soak into 6 months into perfume and 6 months into oil. They would soak for 6 months so that their body would be full with nice smell and things. So they would prepare also before they got to the king. So that same idea that the Chassidim prepared to go to the tzaddik, considering that the king is Hashem and the whole thing. Okay, so. They arrive, Hema Olim b'Ma'alei ha'ir, and they go up the hill to go into the city, and they find the women that they find a few women that are drawing water from the well, and they ask them, is there a seer here? And we said that the proper answer should be either there is or there isn't. Just let me know. And they answer for a good over 50 words of psukim. There is 3 long psukim that tell their answer. Yes, he's here. He's going to do a korban. You have to rush. You have to this. You have to that. Blah blah blah. And we explained here how this shows So a few things. When we describe the requirements of the king in Sefer Devarim, so here we saw that Shaul doesn't have money, so that's not an issue. He doesn't have horses. He lost his donkeys, so definitely doesn't have horses. The focus is there, the donkeys. The donkeys often are contrast. There's a contrast between the donkeys and the horses. The horses are a creature that give confidence to the warrior, because the warrior thinks that if he has a horse, it's going to be more powerful for him to win, to win his opponent. On the other hand, we have the donkey that is a sign of humility, that Abraham took a donkey to go to Akedas Yitzchak. Moshe rode a donkey when he went back to Mitzrayim. Mashiach will come on a donkey. So it's a mindset of humility. And here we said also that the king is not allowed to have too many wives because they might take his heart astray. And here we see that Shaul meets women on the way, and he's not impressed by them at all. He doesn't even, he asks them, is there a Navi here? They answer him, they blabble, 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 and he doesn't even respond. He just like takes their instruction and move on. It's not like he's dragging on the conversation himself. So we see here more requirements where he fits the picture. And they go in the city, and it's really interesting to see where Shmuel and Shaul meet. Let me show you in which pasuk it is. I'm skipping because we learned it last week, and I want to start Perek Yud, Veigash, pasuk Yutret. Pasuk Yutret. Shmuel, Hashem just told Shmuel, look, the man that is coming towards you now is the one that I told you about yesterday. He's the one who's going to be the king over my people. Pasuk Yutret, Veigash Shaul et Shmuel. And Shaul approached Shmuel. What we know here is that Shmuel knows who Shaul is, but Shaul has no idea who Shmuel is. And what do they meet? Betoch hasha'ar. Inside the gate. What gate? The gate of the city. What is going on? Shmuel is about to leave the city to go bring the korban, and Shaul is entering the city, and they meet really at the gate. Now, if Shaul would meet Shmuel inside his city, Shaul would come into Shmuel's territory because it's his city. So would like symbolically, he would come into his territory. Now, Shmuel is still the leader of the nation. He didn't give over the power yet. So for Shaul to come on his own, like from his own decision, to come into Shmuel's territory would be almost disrespectful, even though Shaul has no idea that what he would be doing because he's just looking for his donkeys. So they meet at the gate. The gate belongs to nobody. There's no disrespect. They're equal when they meet at the gate. There's no my house, your house. It's like if you meet, when you like, I remember once I bought something on Craigslist many years ago. And it was considered unsafe to go to someone's house to pick up what you bought. So we met outside. We met in a parking lot to do the transaction because it's considered safe. You're outside. It's not your property, not my property. We're both on equal grounds. That's where Shaul and Shmuel meet. And in a way, that's what will happen because Shaul will be the king, and we will see that at some point, Shmuel will be scared of Shaul. But on the other hand, Shmuel is still the Navi, and Shmuel has the power to tell Shaul what to do or not. And we'll see that he will give him instructions, and when Shaul will not answer, will not follow the instructions, Shaul will have to pay a very high price for it, for not listening to Shmuel. So they are, in a way, they are equal. They both have their own role, but they are equal in their importance. Each of them becomes indispensable to each other. So that's where they meet. And that's why the women delayed them into their talking. We explained that the women spoke for a long. One of the reasons why the women spoke for a long time is that it was not exactly the time that Hashem said that Shmuel was going to meet Shaul. So they spoke for a long time to delay Shaul into meeting Shmuel, so that they would meet where? By the gate. So that shows how we think we're in control of what we do, but actually Hashem arranges everything. All right, Vayaan. So what is really the funny part here is that Shmuel and Shaul meet, and Shaul turns to Shmuel and says, Vayomer, this is Shaul speaking, Haginan Ali, please tell me, is it Betaroe? Where's the house of the seer? Vayan Shmuel at Shaul, and Shmuel answered Shaul, Vayomer, and he said, Anochi Aroe. I am the Roy, I am the seer. So this is a really fun part, that he really, until the end, he still has no idea what's going on. He still has no idea what Hashem has in store for him. Now we'll see that here when we didn't mention it last class, but when Shmuel says, Anochi Aroe, I am the seer, Hashem will consider that Shmuel is being too proud. And will say, who do you think you are that you say you are the seer? I'm the one who makes you see. You will see. I will make sure that at some point you will not see what you're supposed to see, and you will realize that you being the seer is all because I let you see. But here, there's not enough acknowledgement of Shmuel saying, I'm the Navi of Hashem, or something like that. Say, Anochi Aroe, I am the seer. So that was considered too proud of Shmuel to say. The standard question that I get usually in class at this one is like, what was he supposed to answer? You say, well, where is this here? What was I supposed to say? So that was his punishment in a way here. So another commentary that I say is that why was he punished for saying Anochi Aroe is because a Roe is a lower level than a Navi. Why would he limit himself by saying Anochi Aroe? He's a Navi, he's not just a seer. All right. He says, and from the second that Shmuel meets Shaul, Shmuel treats Shaul with tremendous respect. And we'll see that Shaul is completely taken aback. He has no idea why he deserves such a treatment, and he will express it in words. So he tells him, Ale lefanai habama, go up in front of me to the bama, to the mizbeach. The bama is another word for mizbeach that is outside of the Mishkan. Ve'achaltem imi hayom, and you will eat with me today. Ve'shilachticha v'boker, and in the morning I will send you. V'chol asher bilevavcha agid lach, and everything that you have on your heart, I will tell you. That's a nice invitation. I was just coming to say hello and ask a question quickly. It's like if you go to your neighbor, you want to borrow 4 eggs, and she says, you don't have eggs, come with me, sit down for a meal, stay here for a week, it's okay, just come with your kid. So you're like, 1 second, I just came to borrow eggs, you don't need to treat me like that. Shaul is completely taken aback, but Shmuel didn't finish. How did that come into the conversation? Shaul didn't speak about his atonot yet. Hayom shloshet yamim, that it has been already 3 days. Al tasem et libcha lahem. Don't put your heart onto them, meaning don't give it another thought, for 2 reasons. Number 1, ki nimtzau, they were found already. Number 2, ulemi kol chemdat Yisrael, halo lecha ulechol bet avicha, and to who all the good things of Am Yisrael belong. Is it not to you and to your father's house? He's like, no, we just have donkeys. So what is Shmuel hinting to him? Saying, you own everything. You're the big owner of the country. You're the king.
No,
He's not saying it in words. Why?
Okay, one day you have nothing. The next day you have everything. And then the 3rd day, they're like, okay, you have nothing again. You won't have nothing again.
True. Yeah, true. It's going to be deeper than that. Vayan Shaul, so let's see, is Shaul excited about Shmuel's announcement? Vayomer, and he said, hello, Benyamini Anochi. Am I not one of the people of Binyamin? Miktane Shiftei Israel. Not only I'm from Binyamin, who is the youngest, but I'm also one of the smallest Shvatim. Smallest in size. He's reminding him that the reason why they're smallest in size is because Binyamin did trouble, and they're not appreciated by the rest of the tribes. Umishpachti atzeira mikol mishpachot shifte Binyamin. And in Za'at Shevet Binyamin, my family is the youngest family in Shevet Binyamin. So we're like the smallest of the small of the smallest of the. Why would you tell me such a thing? Really makes no sense. You're not speaking to the right person. I don't answer to any of the criteria of someone that you would be looking for. Shmuel doesn't bother answering, and he tells him, you know what? Come with me. I organized the meal. This day was considered to be, is assumed to be Rosh Chodesh. Then Rosh Chodesh we bring korbanos. So Shmuel had organized to have, to give a korban together with 30 dignitaries. And they were really about to start the meal. Everybody's already sitting around the table. And Shmuel tells Shaul, come sit down at the head of the table. Now, who usually sits at the head of the table? The most important person, which would assume to be Shmuel. So in the middle of Pasuk Chav Bet, Vayiten lahem, and he gave them makom, a place, berosh hakeruim, at the head of the dignitaries, meaning at the head of the table. Vehema kishloshim ish. It's 30 people. Don't think it's a small party with like 2-3 people. It's a big affair. It's not finished. There's a whole, how is it called? It's as if they're making really a play here. They're putting things on the scene, and they're like scene 1, scene 2, and drama, and then we add on. And Shmuel says to the cook. So they would bring a korban. So we think, we all have our own imagination of what a korban is like, right? But here they describe really how it was. So there's the korban on the mizbeach, but the korban is a full animal. So like we come back from the store with like a little bag of meat. They have their full animal, so they're not going to eat it just by themselves. And the korbanot, you can't always leave them for the next day. So you have to have a lot of people gathered to eat it. But if they're eating already together, they're having a nice time. They don't want to have to be busy on top of the mizbeach that is high up, that is very tall, busy cooking the meat, and all the people are there chatting. So they have a cook. They have a cook, and he brings them the part of the korban, and they're having their nice time. Shmuel had told the cook, put aside the nicest piece of meat. We'll have a special guest that will come. When he comes, you'll give it to him. Shaul is stunned. It's like, why are you putting me at the head of the table? It's your place. Imagine how in our house, if our husband would give his part at the Shabbos table to a guest, how awkward it would be. Imagine in a different situation, like in a greater situation, if like someone would come to the Farbringen in 770 and the Rebbe would say, sit on my chair. How unbelievable would that be? That would be unreal. And for the person to sit on the chair, how even more unreal that would be. That is what is happening to Shaul. And he's like, I was looking for my donkeys.
That's very funny. Almost
So
comical.
it is really comical. It is really comical. And it's very, and the whole reason, would we ever know? One of the reasons why the story is brought in that way, because it's a king. So like make him appear in a noble way, make him appear as in like David. How do people discover David? I'm not saying Shmuel. Shmuel discovers David in a specific way, in a hidden way. But how does the nation discover David? When he fights against Goliath, that's like a massive show of faith, of trust, of courage. It's a humongous display of an honorable person, right?
Bravery and courage.
It's like he states his value at the moment that people see him. And Shaul is introduced, like clueless, like. On the other hand, no one is better than him in the entire nation. Okay, there's an expression today. Because I don't want it to sound like we're making fun of Shaul. That's really not the point. There's an expression today in Hebrew, in modern Hebrew, that is called like this. חיפש אתונות ומצא מלוכה. He looked for donkeys and he found kingship. He found
Really?
It's an expression in modern Hebrew. חיפש, like, it's like where I heard it recently, like someone went on a date and she was really like not expecting anything. She just went because, and it became the story of her life, like the love of her, she discovered the love of her life. She said, oh, whatever, another date. I don't want people to drive me crazy. Oh, you're picky, you don't want to go out, you're this, I'm just gonna go. And that was the one. So it's a concept. What does it show? What does it show? It shows how we lead our way, we lead our life with an expectation. We have a certain expectation when we do things in our life. For example, you take on a job because you have this and that goal. You want to evolve professionally, you want to bring in money to your family, you want to work in your kids' school because your kids, you want to be closer to your kids. You have your own expectations. Hashem has a completely different, possibly has a completely different reason for you to take on that job. You go with your rationale. Hashem takes it in a completely different perspective, completely different direction. You don't even know what's going to have, what impact you will have on the people around you, or what the people around, how the people around you will impact you. We have no idea. We make our decisions thinking we're going a certain way. And actually, and we see here in this story, none of the actors, none of the protagonists are actually actors. They're all passive to what's happening. So the donkeys that were lost, they were lost. They didn't lose themselves. It's not that someone lost them, they were lost. And they went places to look for them and they couldn't find them. Like they're wandering around. They don't have a precise itinerary. They don't even know where they go. They just go from place to place. The women that speak, they don't even speak from their own will. Hashem makes them speak. Like the way they meet, the way Shaul speaks to Shmuel, he doesn't even know that he's speaking to Shmuel. He happens to speak with someone, happened to be with Shmuel. The entire process from beginning to end is a process that is not from the deliberate will of the people involved. And what it shows here is how, yes, Hashem is saying to Bnei Israel, you will have a king. It will happen in your history, but don't think that the king has full power. I am still in charge of the course of your history. You think that by having a king, you will be safer, you will have more protection from the enemy, thank you, or more protection from your enemies. No. Everything is still in my hands. I'm still in charge fully of whatever happens. So, they have the korban. After the korban, everybody goes home. Shmuel says to Shaul, I have to speak with you. We're going to go on the roof. I'm going to talk on the roof. Well, on the roof, 3 reasons. They will have more privacy. Not everybody hangs out on the roof just because. Number 2, a place that is higher physically is higher spiritually. And number 3, Agag is a play of word with Agag, the king of Amalek, that Shaul will have to destroy. And here Shmuel gives to Shaul all the instructions of how to behave when he will be a king. And we have a very interesting wording in Pasuk Chavav, Vayashkimu, and they woke up, they got up, they arose, Vayehi ka'alot hashachar, and it was the sunrise. What is the sunrise? It's the sunrise of the kingship. It's the beginning of the kingship in Am Yisrael. Ve'ikra Shmuel el Shaul agaga, and Shmuel calls Shaul again to the roof. Lemor saying, Huma, rise, ve'shlacheka, and then I will send you. Vayakom Shaul, vayetu shneim, hu u'Shmuel achutza, they go out, him and Shmuel achutza outside. What is it that they're going outside? They're bringing this light of kingship, they're bringing it into the world, but not yet. It's going very, very slowly. They go down from the city, and then Shmuel tells Shaul, you have your servant with you, send him ahead. I don't want him to see what we're doing. He doesn't say that. He just said, send him ahead. Vayavo, and the servant goes ahead. Only after the servant goes ahead, Shmuel continues talking. And he says, Ve'ata, and you, Amod, you stand here, Kayom, today, Ve'ashmiach et dvar Elokim, and I will let you know the word of Hashem. And here we come into Perek Yud. Perek Yud is going to be the ending of Perek Tet, meaning we have in Perek Tet, we have two phases, and it will have a third phase of our story in Perek Yud. Phase number one, Shaul is looking for his donkeys. Phase number two, he meets Shmuel. Phase number three, he will go back home. So here, we're still in the meeting with Shmuel, and Shmuel will prepare him to go back home. And main event is here that Shmuel is going to anoint Shaul. And Shmuel is going to anoint Shaul, is going to be the first anointed king ever. We remember that when Hannah davened to have a child, at the beginning of the Sefer, when she davened to have a child, she said that she wants to have a child that will anoint two kings. She said that in her tefillah. And here, the first king is being anointed by Shmuel. And after that, Shmuel is going to give signs to Shaul to tell him, I want to prove to you that I'm not making these things up. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm going to give you 3 signs. Sounds familiar, right? 3 signs. Who else had 3 signs for being believed or to make himself be believed? Moshe had 3 signs. Hashem gave him 3 signs when he went to speak to Bnei Israel. So, do you have the charger to Bnei Israel? Do you have the charger? Okay, so Shmuel is going to give 3 signs to Shaul to tell him, I'm not trying to trick you. Everything that I said to you is actually true. I know it sounds unbelievable, but it is the reality. Pasuk Alef. Vayikach Shmuel, and Shmuel took et pach hashemen, a jug of oil. Vayitzok al rosho, and he poured it on his head. Vayitzok is a word that is used specifically for oil. That is used specifically for pouring oil, and he poured it on Shaul's head. Vayishakehu, and then he kissed him. Vayomer, and he said, Halo ki mishachacha Hashem al nachalato lenagid, isn't it that Hashem that anointed you over his inheritance as a king? And here we have the beginning of a relationship between Shmuel and Shaul. We see that Shmuel kisses Shaul, and that kiss is symbolically, he's giving Shaul all his love. And until the end, Shmuel will have a tremendous, tremendous love to Shaul, and he's giving him over also. In the kiss, you have a little bit of your breath in it. And he's giving a part of himself, he's giving to Shaul. And the relationship that Shmuel is going to have with Shaul is going to be so, so strong that when Shaul's kingship is going to end, Shmuel is going to cry the entire night. The entire night Shmuel will spend crying to Hashem. Not crying as in he's asking Hashem to change his mind. Crying because he's sad. He's sad. And we'll just go over the signs today and we'll go into their meaning next class, all right? So, when you will leave me today, you will find 2 אנשים, 2 men, עם קבורת רחל בגבול בנימין בצל צח, by קבורת רחל at the border of the territory of Binyamin in the city of Tel Tzach. ואמרו אליך, and these people will tell you, נמצאו האתונות אשר הלכת לבקש, the donkeys that you were looking for were found. והנה נטש אביך את דברי האתונות, and your father has abandoned the idea of the האתונות, of the donkeys. ודאג לכם, and he's worried about you, לאמור, saying, מה אעשה לבני, what will I do to my son, meaning what happened to my son? וחלפת משם, and you will pass from there. והלאה, and on, ובאת עד אלון תבור, and you will arrive to a place called אלון תבור. ומצאוך שם, and there will find you 3 אנשים, 3 men, Olim el Elokim. These men are going up to Hashem. Betkel, to Betkel. Betkel is a place that is known to have a special kedusha. Echad, so those three men, what are they doing? They're all going to Betkel. Echad nose shlosha gdaim. One is carrying three, I want to say lambs, but it's not lambs, it's another type of animal. Rivka, you have it. What is a gdi? When Pasuk Gimel? Kids, right?
Goats.
Baby goats, yes. Ve'echad nose shloshet kikrot lechem, and one carries 3 loaves of bread. Ve'echad nose nevel yain, and one is carrying 1 flask of wine. Ve'shalu lecha leshalom, and they will ask you how you're doing. Ve'natnu lecha shnei lechem, and they will give you 2 breads. Ve'lakachta miyadam, and you will take it from them. Achar kach, afterwards, tavo givat ha'elokim. You will arrive to a place called givat ha'elokim, asher sham netzive pelishtim. There is the officers of the Pelishtim. Vayikev Hasham, and it will be when you will arrive there, ha'ir, to that city, ufagata chevel neviim, you will encounter a group of neviim. Yordim me'abama, they're going down from their bama, from their mizbeach, meaning they just want to bring a korban. They are in an elevated state. They're neviim. They're in an elevated state. They're going down from the mizbeach. Velifneim, and in front of them there is nevel. There is a harp, vetof, vechalil, vechinor. There's different instruments. There is a trumpet. There is a drum. There is a flute, and there's a violin. Vehema mitnabim, and they are having a nevuah. You will meet people who are playing music. They're just coming down from a korban. They are playing music, and they are having a nevuah. Normally they are having a nevuah. V'tzalcha alecha ruach Hashem, and the spirit of Hashem will be successful on you. V'itnabeta imam, and you will have a prophecy with them. V'nehepachta leish acher, and you will change into another person. You will be a new person. You will not have the same identity anymore. Ve'aya ki tavona ha'otot ha'ele lach, it will be when those signs will happen to you. Aselecha asher timtza yadecha. You should do whatever comes to your hand, meaning whatever you feel like you can do. Ki Elokim imach, from that moment on, Hashem is with you. Imagine what a bracha he hears that will happen to him. From that moment on, Hashem is with you. Pasuk chet v'yaradeta lefanai Gilgal. So here, Pasuk Zayin, Shaul is given a free check, a blank check. Whatever you want to do, you do. You have complete choice over what to do and what not to do. You're the king. You decide. But Pasuk chet contradicts completely Pasuk Zayin if we don't pay attention. Unless we don't pay attention. V'yaradeta lefanai Gilgal, and you will go before me to Gilgal. V'hine anochi yored elecha, and I will come towards you. I will come down towards you. Le'alot olot, to bring korbanot, lizboach zifrei shlamim, to bring korbanot. Shivat yamim tochel ad bo'i elecha. You should wait for me 7 days in Gilgal to bring korbanot. And then I'll let you know what you should do.
Wait, he was supposed to do whatever he wanted.
And here it tells him, hey, you're the king, you can do whatever you want, but I am still the Navi. You still obey me. I make the rules here. I tell you when you can do things, when you can't do things. There are things that are in your domain. There are things that are in my domain. If you pay very close attention, then you need to have a very acute eye. Who is standing next to the Nevi'im? Look in Pasuk Hey. Who is standing next to the Nevi'im? Achaken, afterwards, Tavo Givat Elokim, you will arrive to Givat Elokim, Asher Sham Netzive Pelishtim. There's the captains of the Pelishtim. The Pelishtim have the army there. They have officers there. Doing what? Why are they there? At this point, Shmuel tells him, do whatever you want. Hashem imach, Hashem is with you. When you see the Pelishtim, you will see the Nevi'im, You will have a nevuah. You will become another man. Whatever you feel like you can do, do. Hashem is with you. When it comes to the enemy, you can do whatever you want. But remember, when it comes to a korban, in Gilgal, you wait for me. I'm the one who decides in that department. And be careful, because these 3 signs, they are what will make you a king. That part of Gilgal is what is going to maintain you as the king. This is crucial. Shmuel doesn't tell him all the paraphrase, all the things that go around, all the warning. He doesn't add words to it. But what he's saying is, I'm giving you 3 signs that will change you, that ultimately will change you into another man, that you will become another king. But if you want to stay in that position of being another king, when you go to Gilgal, you must wait for me 7 days. Why am I insisting on this? Obviously, because he will not wait the 7 days. And we'll see why. So, and that's in the next passage we'll stop. And it was when he turned his shoulder to leave, Meim Shmuel, from Shmuel, Vayafoch lo Elokim, Hashem changed him, Lev Acher, another heart. Right away. Right away, he leaves Shmuel, Vayafoch lo Elokim Lev Acher, Hashem changes his heart, meaning already he feels different. Vayavu kol haotot haele bayom hahu, and all the signs happened on that day. We'll stop here.
Like
In one day, all the signs happen. We are not seeing today how he arrives home. How he arrives home is another story. It takes another time to commit to one.
Question.
Yes.
It seems like his heart doesn't need so much of a change. Like it seems like he's already like perfect in the state he is. Like he's humble and like knows his place. Like seems like the change of heart is like just like making all his like good stuff like into not like doesn't seem like he needs much to change to become a better person. It seems like anything that would change would be like just like
Would be negative
Yeah.
then. You're saying if you're so good that no one is better than you, how can you be even better? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I think it actually knows what happens in the next.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
It seems like when
It says lev acher. It doesn't say lev tov.
Like yeah, change the thought, like power corrupts, like that's what's in my mind kind of.
I
Because he
see.
seems,
I see.
like, so.
So here, okay. So Shaul, because he was the king, he had the neshama klalis. He held in within himself the neshama of all the people that lived in his time. Because he was like the chief of his generation.
Yeah.
But he didn't know it. He lived without knowing it. Now he's going to be aware that his neshama is so much greater than what he thought it was. He thought of himself as a private person. It's like, I'm just my father's son. I'm helping him in the field. We'll see that when Shaul will go back home, even when Shaul will go home, he will not tell anyone what happened with Shmuel. And even after, there will be a whole setup and he will be crowned king in front of everybody. He will go home and go back to his field. It doesn't register that he's the king. He doesn't act as the king yet. It will take him a while. So for him to change from being a private person to being a national person, a public person, it will take him a while. So Hashem gives him that awareness.
It's very funny to hear you say that it takes a while, because we would know that he only was king for 2 years. Everything took forever at this day and age. I would always think like to take a while, it would take like 2 years for him to like feel like that. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it does not take 2 years, but it doesn't happen instantly. He has the nevuah instantly, but he doesn't act as the king instantly. For example, when people win the lottery, usually they come within the next day. They come to claim the ticket because right away they register. Oh, I won the lottery. Now I'm a millionaire and blah, blah, blah. Really, but it will happen. Really, you will have people who will wait until they go and claim the ticket. They know they have the ticket, but they're like, I'm not ready. We get a story like that in Canada. There was a ticket that was winning $50 million. No one came to claim it. And all the media were going crazy. They said, we know the ticket was sold. We know where it was sold, but no one came. And a month before it was expired, there's a couple that came, mid-60s. They have a family, they have grandkids and everything. They said, we wanted to take our time. We went to consult with specialists, with experts. We didn't want to rush into it. We wanted to know what we're doing. It's a big change in our life. It took time to register. So Shaul it doesn't happen right away. He's like, okay, get me a castle, get me this, no, it takes time. So it will take him a few weeks, a few months, I don't know, but it doesn't happen right away. We'll see the events that will lead him to become the king that he, like a public king. Even to be accepted by the people, it will not happen right away. That's also a different point. All right. Even though they asked for the king, it's going to be very interesting. Almost, it's going to be almost a tease. Like it's as if, imagine your daughter asks you for a cake. So, mommy, I really want a cake. And you, let's say, I don't know, it's breakfast and she's not supposed to have like, I don't know, cake and cream and whatever, You're like, you know what? I'm going to give you cake for breakfast, which usually does not happen. And you give her that whole wheat, gluten-free, whatever cake. And you're like, this is your cake. And she's like, really? So when they will see Shaul the first time, they're like, seriously? Shaul will not impose himself as the king at the beginning.
Even though he's so like handsome and
Very shy. So we didn't speak about it today. We spoke about it last class, but Shaul doesn't make decisions. And we see that the decisions are being made by his servants in the conversation. In all his interactions with the servant, his father tells him, go look for the donkeys. He goes. He says, fine, you know what? We can find them. Let's go home. His servant tells him, no, let's not go home. Fine. Let's go to the Navi. Okay.
that doesn't, yeah.
So because it has two parts. On one hand, he has a listening ear. He doesn't feel superior, which was one of the criteria that the Torah said the king shouldn't feel superior and haughty towards his brothers. But on the other hand, he's too easily pressured into doing the opposite of what he actually wanted to do. It will be his downfall to be pressured by the people. That's going to be his problem. So at the beginning, it's considered an advantage. He's humble. He's sneer. He's very modest in his entire attitude. He's a very humble person. He knows that he will be chosen because Shmuel will do a lottery to choose who will be the next king. He knows he will be chosen. And they made that massive gathering to announce who the new king will be. And they had a whole area with the luggage. Now you can imagine the area of the luggage when you have 600,000 people. The area of the luggage is a big area. And he went to hide at the back of the luggage. He said, there, they will not find me. And once his name came out, they said, well, who is this, number one? And where is he? They couldn't find him until they had to really drag him out of the luggage. He comes, he's like,
sounds funny. Like, I know.
And then the people, so then Shmuel tells them, well, that's the king. You wanted a king. Here he is. Say, well, you should cheer for him. So the people will say, Yechia Melech. But not everybody will say it. Some people will not say it. Some people go home with him and like cheer him up and like, yeah, you're our king. And other people are like, yeah, I don't see where it's going. So that's the beginning. Then he will change over people's heart completely. We'll see his real leadership kicking in.
Where's Shmuel?